gathering by acknowledging that we are meeting on Aboriginal land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples from the beginning. As settlers, we are grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. I'm speaking from Toronto, the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. We also recognize the contributions Métis, Inuit, and other Indigenous peoples have made, both in shaping and strengthening this community and our province and country as a whole. As settlers, this recognition of the contributions and historic importance of Indigenous peoples must also be clearly and overtly connected to action by us to make the promise and the challenge of truth and reconciliation real in our communities. At the heart of the First Nations culture is the practice of storytelling, and that is what brings us all here together today.
Good evening. Welcome to the launch of Front Lines 2022. My name is Georgiana Petek, she, her, and I'm reading today from Vernon, British Columbia. My story is entitled My Little Prince. My life opened through books and because of books. Le Petit Prince was the first book I read in a foreign language. I was 9 years old. I remember writing down words from the dictionary that whole week. 2 notebooks later, I had translated the book. I had no idea how to pronounce any of those French words. They looked like trapped insects sprawled over pages. Our French teacher introduced herself as Emilia, and we all thought she was stark raving mad. Students weren't supposed to know their teachers' first names. We were all children of the Republic, working and living as one unit, so none of our names mattered. Emilia asked us the following week, who has read Le Petit Prince in French, as instructed? I and one boy, whose mother was also a French teacher, stood. The other students didn't get physically punished, as one would normally for disobeying a teacher. Our teacher raised a finger to her lips as she observed the silent class. With a sweeping gesture, she motioned us to the front. Allons-y, on se dépêche, il y a beaucoup à voir. None of us understood a word, but the urgency in her voice, the slight tremble in her long nicotine-browned fingers made us gather quickly and quietly. Reaching into her briefcase, Emilia pulled out a slide projector, a large white sheet, and a giant album stuffed with tiny white and black squares. Some of the children eyed the closed classroom door nervously. Were we safe? There were rumors about our teacher that she had once dreamt of living in Paris. She'd been an emeritus professor at the University of Bucharest, but was demoted to a first-year middle school teacher here, in a town the size of a shoe, the most polluted place in the country. Intellectuals like Emilia, who'd offended the regime, were exiled to Onești for the rest of their lives. Can I have my Xbox now? My 7-year-old seizes the opportunity, seeing me hard at work. What? No, not yet, I resist. Brush teeth, breakfast, piano practice. You know the rules. He thumbs away, disappointed, refraining from slamming my door this time. Thank you, my love, I shout. Okay, where was I? Onești, the Romanian town where I grew up. Hometown of 10 out of 10 Olympic gymnast, Nadia Comaneci. Toxic releases cloaked Onești in thick, unbreathable smog. Our polluted town was notorious across the country. Almost all adults from my childhood died before they reached 50, including my father. I still have no idea how our teacher managed to sneak a projector and photos of France into our classroom. Those enchanting images of monuments, museums, castles, paintings, gardens. None of us had ever imagined such beauty. We were locked up in a polluted shoebox with no television or art. Instead, we consumed propaganda, trumpeting Romania's economy and place in the world. With each click of each slide, right then and there, at 9 years old, I knew I would make Emilia's dream my own. I would climb the Eiffel Tower, visit the Triumphal Arch, Montmartre, pray inside the Notre Dame, tour the Louvre, savor the Orangerie Museum, and explore the Chateau of the Loire Valley. All of us were riveted by the end of that class. We had discovered there was more to the world than being arrested by Securitate for as little as sneezing or dropping dead of malnutrition during play. I never had the chance to tell my French teacher what those pictures meant to me. She couldn't have known how majestically she had saved and changed our lives. Or maybe she did. I now live in Vernon, British Columbia, a town bearing the same name as the one in France that I lived in and always cherished. Thank you, Emilia. It was fate we met. It is fate I now live here. All because of Le Petit Prince and you, my brave, unwavering first French teacher. Can I have my Xbox now? I did everything. Come here, little bugaboo. I coax him and wrap him in my arms, rocking us on my oversized office chair. Can I read you Le Petit Prince later? He cuddles, like I know he won't anymore soon. Touching my forehead with his, he says, Maman, can I read the book to you? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Georgiana Petek. That was a beautiful reading. Georgiana has two lovely pieces in the new anthologies that we're launching today. And thank you all for coming to the celebration of the WCC writers and their voices in 3 new Front Lines anthologies. Thank you for all your support, your participation. Thank you to all the writers, mentors, editors, publishers, Todd Coupé, Maria Ford, and Jessica Hoon for his devoted stewardship of WCC's Write On program. I'd like to thank the generous funding of this iteration of WCC's Write On program, the Ontario Arts Council and additional anonymous supporters, as well as the Toronto International Festival of Authors, who will be highlighting these new anthologies and spotlighting WCC writers and their acclaimed festival this fall. Also, thanks to WCC's sustaining sponsors, the Ontario Trillium Foundation, Azraeli and McConnell Foundations, and the Canada Healthy Communities Initiative. Thank you to new sponsors and partners helping us start workshops with veterans, military and uniformed personnel, and caregivers, True Patriot Love, the Legion Ontario Command, Family Councils Ontario, and supporters that include the Emerald Foundation, the Michael Decter Foundation, the Ottawa Community Foundation, the Community Foundation of Mississauga, and the Rotary Club of Toronto. And thank you to the WCC board for their invaluable contribution to the Writers Collective. Finally, my thanks and my thank you and an introduction to the person who started the first WCC writing workshops at the Friendship Center more than 10 years ago, the founder of the Writers Collective of Canada, who will get this show started, Susan Turk.
I've got to unmute myself. Okay, well, to survive, you must tell stories, says writer Umberto Eco. The Writers Collective of Canada exists in pursuit of that truth. WCC provides free expressive writing workshops in diverse and often underserved communities throughout Canada, igniting deep creative exploration and freeing voice. As Maya Angelou famously says, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. WCC provides that forum to find that story and to tell it, creating an incredible, brave community of writers, confident in their magnificent, authentic voices. The launch of the WCC's 3 new Front Line Anthologies this evening is a testament to that truth. The Write On initiative cultivates once unheard writers under the guidance of established mentors and transforms them into newly published emerging authors. This program owes a debt of gratitude to Jess Cahoon, WCC's Director of Programs Emeritus. Jess developed and tirelessly spearheaded this visionary aspiration to publish, illuminate, and amplify tough and wondrous creativity. Our 3 latest frontline publications, Courage Without a Parachute, Hope, Only One Question, and Resilience, I Open My Mouth and Speak, explore themes that underscore each and every human life. 63 writers shine light on a diversity of experience, celebrate differences, yet connect us all. Ernest Hemingway has said, "I have learned a great deal from listening carefully. Most people never listen." It is a thrill to welcome you tonight to this evening of deep listening, and a heartfelt thank you to the talented authors presenting tonight. May your words continue to ring resonant and true. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Melissa Creighton. Melissa.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Creighton, and this evening I'm reading from Toronto. This is an excerpt from my short story, The Bus Ride. The women picked up their bags and clambered off the bus. The smell of damp earth was unexpected. They walked along the cobbles towards the pub. The fog cooled their faces. Mari had lost her husband to cancer. Millie's daughter had died in a car accident. Megan's partner had left one morning and had never returned. Mari placed her bag on the wooden blanket box at the end of the bed. The pale yellow sweater she wore was damp. She began knitting it the day of her husband's diagnosis. He'd smiled through his breathing tubes when she'd modeled the completed creation for him. The cancer claimed his life the following day. Millie had the room in the front of the pub. She looked out the window and wondered what lay beyond the fence across the street. Her daughter loved foggy weather. They would wander down to the river, imagining what they might see. The youngster would giggle as a swan paddled past them before disappearing back into the fog. Megan quickly closed the door and kicked the leg of the bed. This vacation hadn't been what she'd expected. She'd hoped that by getting away, it would help her heal and move on. It hadn't. All she wanted now was to go home. After settling in, the women gathered in the front room of the pub. Millie sat in the large chair next to the roaring fire. Resting her head in the back of the chair, she scanned the books neatly stacked on the shelf above the fireplace. A children's book featuring a girl and her dog delivering the mail piqued her attention. Mari and Megan sat at a round wooden table next to a window, each with a bottle of dark ale. A pile of box games and jigsaw puzzles sat in the corner. Mari could hear her children's laughter as they put together a jigsaw puzzle. Her husband's treatment had slowly brought an end to the family game nights. Rain tapped on the leaded glass window. Megan touched the thick glass pane. The memory of a Sunday afternoon enjoying craft beer and live music at the local pub, their now long gone partner came flooding back. It had also rained that day. A faint light appeared in the distance, wobbling side to side. As it approached the pub, it revealed a man in a long jacket and a large hat. He carried a lantern. A dog trotted beside him. They entered the pub. The man shook the rain off his coat before hanging it and the hat on a peg next to the door. The pub owner nodded and poured the man a whiskey. Billy reached down, stroking the dog that had settled on the mat next to the fire. The dog wagged its tail. The man raised the glass and sipped the amber liquid. Light from the fire sparkled off the crystal glass. As he settled on a stool, he gazed at the three women and began to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Hasib Iftikhar and my pronouns are he, him. And tonight I'm reading the following from Toronto. This is an excerpt from a story called My Unfathomable Precious. So here goes my bittersweet moment. I had once met a girl and somehow the rendezvous became repetitive in mutual exuberance. And at one point in time and space, she said that she loves me. Corny, maybe, but ineffable to the point of my own bafflement, 100%. Hands down, I would never understood the manifestation that prompted her mind that day. Took her senses off guard and played it confused. She has been the most rational person in my realm of intimate knowing, and yet I remember how she was that day, in tears and totally removed from her calculated bearing. How her fingertips shook a little whilst resting on my face, and I felt them there reverberating, and how her lips resonated, perhaps to her overbeating heart, and channeled a ripple of what had formed deep beneath, so fully, strongly, naturally. And I had no way to mishear the words, misinterpret the declaration, and to misplace the notion. And it was madness to even comprehend that I could finish talking about her, to come full circle and then some, to cover all the corners and aspects of her being. And the history, the emotions, and followed by them reactions, crimson. And it took my mind downtrodden into a swirling slush pool of sentiments, of which she was the curator and conductor, and I had never survived. It surfaced later somehow, more mature, better. My emotional capital, the harmonious sonata, my Baroness at dawn and Lolita at dusk, she fills and then kills, with sparks that she hides, which in the blinks of those eyes like distant searchlights. Like a trumpeter, she twines and holds on to me, heart-shaped long necks, and we flap, thrash, and swim. In a conjugal float, staring at the sunset in each other's eyes. And I daydream of our laughs, like drowning into the sound of a misty fountain, and a sight of a stella that's about to form a constellation. My Bellatrix. Thank you.
I'm Jessica Hoon, the former Director of Programming for the Writers Collective of Canada. The Write On program reflects the core values and mission of the Writers Collective of Canada, giving people from all backgrounds the opportunity to share their stories with others. Whether in the privacy of a group or in a public forum, the need to share inspiring stories that reflects inner truths is foundational. The Write On program isn't a singularity. It builds upon the needs and desires of the participating writers, layers and connections, weaving a tapestry of ideas and images. It evolved out of the first TWC video and the Word on the Street contests. I helped with the first promotional video and was inspired by the writers who won prizes and presented their work in the contests. I'm a career filmmaker and had worked with Richard Moser for many years. In 2015, we had just completed a short series of documentaries for the Israeli Foundation that featured the stories of Holocaust survivors published by the foundation. I could see the potential of creating a series of documentaries featuring several of the writers from the contest. At the same time, the Toronto Writers Collective was working with VIA-HAFTA to provide workshops at several locations around the city. One of the outcomes of this Trillium Foundation grant-funded program was providing the opportunity for writers to participate in the Word on the Street contest. This contest went on for several years and found other iterations and contests that supported writers who were looking for outlets to have their stories presented to the public. The TWC was an active participant in these efforts. When the project manager for the VIA-HAFTA project was unable to continue, I was offered the job. Challenges to growing the TWC were funding and reaching out to engaging with writers, facilitators, and organizations. Amplifying the voices of the writers who participated in the workshops through publishing their works had potential to help to achieve these goals. I proposed the Write On project to the board, and resources were found with Richard's support to initiate the plan. Funding was applied for from the Toronto Arts Council with matching funds from BMO Nesbitt Burns for an arts-based community project where published authors would mentor emerging authors. As the only contractor of the TWC at the time, I reached out to trained facilitators and authors whose backgrounds included developing the craft of writing and having been published. With the support of the Toronto Public Library, 5 workshops began. The first anthology was released at a public event at the Toronto Central Library in 2017. The success of the first anthology and its popularity with the participating writers, mentors, and organizations led to sourcing additional funding for the second and third series of workshops and published anthologies. Networking has always been an important aspect of my work with the collective. It's all about reaching out and being open to others, encouraging the participation of writers, meeting and placing facilitators, and developing relationships with supporters and organizations. For example, we had a booth each year at the Word on the Street Festival, where we distributed a newsletter that featured some of the writers and promoted the TWC workshops. There, I was introduced by Pat Connors, one of the Write On mentors, to Al Moritz, Toronto's Poet Laureate. Subsequently, I asked Al to write an introduction for the 2 new anthologies. He was enthusiastic about the project and was later a keynote speaker at a facilitator's appreciation event. Al continued his support and introduced the TWC to the Toronto International Festival of Authors. A virtual event in video during the festival in 2020 helped grow awareness of the TWC and the anthologies. The writers who were part of the online experience were ecstatic at sharing the stage with Al, feeling that their work as artists was validated. Writers have also been heard in events in other spoken words in Toronto, like Shabby Cher, in Ottawa, and the recent Art of Time Ensemble, Who Is We concerts. The public events amplify connection between people, strengthens resilience, and a positive sense of identity, enhancing society well-being begun in the workshops. From its modest beginnings, the Write On program has grown. There are now 6 published anthologies in the WCC collection. 23 emerging authors found their voices represented in the first anthology. 34 were published in the second 2 anthologies, and 63 people from across Canada completed the 10-week program in 2021. Those writers are published in the 3 new anthologies: Front Lines, I Open My Mouth and Speak, Front Lines, Only One Question, and Front Lines, Without a Parachute. Like the WCC, the program has adapted and changed, meeting virtually for the 2021 workshops and using prompts as the source for inspiring new work. Several authors have been published in all 3 anthologies, and some have become facilitators and mentors, encouraged by their experience with the Write On program. One of my favorite authors, Michael Connelly, says succinctly, "Everybody matters, or nobody matters." The Writers Collective of Canada reinforces that statement. Celebrating voice inclusive of race, ethnicity, class, age, gender identity, sexual orientation, physical ability, and mental health, with a strong focus on underserved populations and traditionally underheard voices. The Write On program builds bridges and shelters emerging authors as they prepare to step forward and share their authentic voices. The rolling thunder of their powerful, unique stories impacts perception and understanding in individual writers, mentors, facilitators, and the community. I'm gratified that the Write On program has found its place and identity within the Writers Collective of Canada. It opens a door for the public to view the benefits and results of exploratory writing in community. It also gives the authors recognition and a share in royalties generated from sales. Promoting and managing the Write On program, leading the editing, and coordinating the publication of the Front Lines Anthologies are some of the hats I have proudly worn. I am happy to see others engage to provide continuity and in the evolution of the program. By helping to cultivate and curate the voices of others, my own writing has found deeper resonance and inspiration. As part of my legacy to the organization, it confirms a basic principle that I learned as a child. Service to others brings untold rewards. A dropped pebble ripples in the pond. The shore waits in expectation.
Hello, at the WCC. My personal pronouns are she, her, and I will be reading from this saga today. I'll be reading 2 pieces that I contributed to the anthology, and the first piece is called Storms at Sea. How does one step into the unknown? Do they dip their toes in murky waters, or tiptoe out into widening horizons? Do they grieve? Grieve against time and for it, grieve in solitude and grieve against rising shores? Or do they go silently, disappear in tandem with the thrashing waves, slowly and completely? This is a story about a sailor, a man of stealth and courage, a hero whose adventures echo from coast to coast, epics of glory and wisdom and power. He set sail against the murky seas, never striding towards land, but apart from it. He thinks distance will bring him glory and fortune, greater than any the lands could offer, and he sets out to conquer the unknown. He ventures forth and sets tumultuous waves. There is a beckoning, an irresistible call to sea, the peak, a first stride into the horizon, and then the fall, as steep as could be. The shore watches his jagged strides, watches his beckoning, then his downfall, and finally, an awakening. My second piece is titled Unrooting. I've always imagined immigration as a movement of souls, an upheaval of identity, breathed out from the known to the unknown. It is the unrooting of tall trees, unplucking of their leaves and removal of the strong roots that had anchored them to their territories. How do we venture into the unknown? Do we stand in courage and bravery, or shrivel? Shrivel like trees without the sun, burdened by weights of leaves we never imagined we would need to carry. Do we resist? Resist to the slipping of life and identity and culture, or do we disappear, merge into the forest, a shadow of the ones we left behind? I was a tree when we were unrooted, young but still aware, tendrils inching across land as we all learned to be. I was a tree with color, sandy brown and greens, vivid, now ordinary. But perhaps it's the forest with its narrowing routes and winding paths that has molded me in its foreignness. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jackie Irvine. I'm going to read you my poems. Okay, Where is My Inspiration? By me, Jackie Irvine. I sit at my work table smoking a joint, thinking of words that will come to the point. Not over-intelligent words you might not understand, or the kind that is gussied up by a marching band. Is this what they call writer's block? And while my pen idles, I hear the tick-tock. I look out my window at the dark horizon, and still no inspirational upsizing. The next morning, where is my inspiration? I can't find it anywhere I look. It's not in my pants pocket. It's not in between the pages of my book. It's not in my top drawer or in my jewelry box. It's not in my oversized purse or in the basket of socks. It's not in my winter jacket or in my utility chest. It's not in my kitchen sink, and without it, my writing is a jest. Have you seen my inspiration, or can you help me find it? I've run out of hiding places, and now I just want to sit. And so I sit and look out my window. A butterfly flits by, and the birds are singing their song. I am not thinking about life and all its wrongs. I'm feeling the twitch. Feels like inspiration. I hope and sit quietly, waiting. That's it. Daring to claim the sky. When I try something new, I am daring to claim the sky. When I try. To someone who doesn't know me, I look like a bird with broken wing. But even birds with broken wings survive, and some even thrive. We can all sing, we can all dance, and some of us never take the chance. But those who try and succeed, in their hearts have claimed the sky. Daring to claim the sky is such a wonderful high, especially if you succeed. Confidence is all you need. Dare to claim the sky. Don't stop to question why, for why becomes a block, and your ability others mock. Dare to claim the sky. Dance if you can't fly. If I am reincarnated, I want to be a bird. Yep, I'm still here. I am a survivor of life. Yep, I'm still here. I've been through it all. I've cried many a tear. My bones are becoming brittle. My hearing's diminished. I may look a lot older. However, I'm not finished. Don't assume I can no longer fight. It's just that I don't want to. Gotta conserve my energy to do the things I have to. Yep, I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just gonna sit and think, maybe have a beer, because I'm still here. Hi, my name is...
Hi, I'm Nadja. I'm a writer and also a facilitator and mentor with the Writers Collective of Canada.
Hi, I'm Lisa Richter, and I was a mentor with the Writers Collective of Canada in the Write On program in 2021.
Hi, my name is Brittany, and I'm a mentor for the Writers Collective of Canada. I decided to mentor with the WCC because I started out as a participant. In college, I was looking for a space where I could engage with diverse writers, and I was looking for a safe space to express myself through writing and also get critiques from writers across the GTA. And so I feel really grateful that I could give back by being a mentor and facilitating some of the workshops with the WCC.
I became a mentor partially for selfish reasons because I get so much joy and satisfaction from teaching and coaching, mentoring, facilitating, especially with emerging writers from diverse backgrounds and communities. And what I really wanted to do was create a space that would be wildly creative, supportive, and open up new possibilities for writers at all stages of development. I also selfishly wanted to pay it forward because I've been privileged to have worked with so many incredible writers and mentors over the course of my career, and I really wanted to give that back. So those were the reasons why I guess I became a mentor in the Write On program.
When I was an emerging writer, I had a chance to participate one-on-one in a mentorship, and it was a really valuable experience for me. And so becoming a mentor with the WCC was an opportunity to go full circle and to return this gift and to support other emerging writers.
When I was first invited to be a facilitator way back in February 2020, I had been writing as a hired gun for more than a decade. I was amazed at how much the positive feedback, the love, the adoration, the safety meant for me, my voice, my creativity, my confidence. And being a mentor, how could I say no? The opportunity to share that with other writers, to create that space, was nothing less than a dream come true.
During the process, I had the opportunity to learn so much and gain so much. I got to create and also nurture this wonderful community of writers that was very inclusive and supportive. I had a chance to dive deep with the group into discussions on the craft of writing. I had a chance to learn so much from the diverse and unique voices and experiences in writing of each of the writers. And of course, I also had a chance to deepen my own skills as a facilitator and mentor.
What I've gained from working with the WCC is a community of diverse writers from all over Canada. And I get to experience the workshops and listen to some amazing stories by some really talented writers.
I gained so much from my work as a mentor with WCC in the Write On program. I was so honored and so humbled and so privileged to work with such an incredibly talented, thoughtful, brave, powerful group of writers who brought so much and were so committed not only to working on their own writing and developing, but to each other as well and supporting each other through this process.
I love that the WCC gives a space for people to express themselves through writing, but also an opportunity for their voice to be amplified. With projects like the anthology publication and the Art of Time ensemble, writers from diverse backgrounds get to have the opportunity to share their writings with their local community, and it's something that I really love about the WCC.
I'd like to extend my deepest thanks and appreciation for all the writers in my group. Susanna, Shireen, Janet, Ariba, Catherine, Christine, and Maria, you continue to inspire me, and it was an honor to be part of your journey.
To the writers out there, particularly to my crew, my Friday night crew, thank you. It was an honor and privilege to serve. And always remember, you're a lighthouse. Well done.
What an absolutely great experience it was for me. Thanks so much, WCC.
Hi, my name is Laurie Bourgeois. I go by the pronouns she and her, reading from Toronto. This is an excerpt from Courageous Decision. She could remember everything from that day as if it were yesterday, from the stormy weather to the comic book bathing suit and cover-up that was a 9th birthday gift from her aunt and uncle. Grandpa leaned over and said, "Let me see your new bathing suit." Of course, she didn't see any issue and was immensely proud of her new suit. He gently lifted her cover-up and said, "Such a cute bathing suit." It didn't stop at that. He continued to touch her where no child should be touched. She felt scared. She pulled away so quickly she almost fell. She went inside and stood beside her. The rain had stopped. It left big puddles, which she would usually love to splash in, but not today. While crossing the street, gripping her mother's hand tightly, she told her mom, "Grandpa touched me." Her mother's face turned as white as snow. Her jaw dropped. "What do you mean, touched you?" When they arrived home, her mom carried her into the bathroom and asked her to show her where he had touched her. She could feel her body trembling, but she showed her mom. Mom gave her a bath and told her it was a good thing that she told, and that it was not okay for anyone to do that. Minutes later, Anne could hear loud voices echoing from her parents' bedroom. She didn't like when they fought, as they did many times. Saturday visits stopped for a while. The events of that day stuck with Anne, and soon she became withdrawn and afraid of the dark. She also was having nightmares and not sleeping in her bedroom for fear of somebody coming in and harming her again. October that year, the visits to her grandparents' apartment began again. Anne was terribly upset as to why they would be going back to the place that gave her so many nightmares. Walking into the apartment, she instantly got a pain in her stomach and said, "Mommy, I want to go home." Her mommy assured her they wouldn't stay long. Anne was glued to her mom's side and refused to eat or drink anything. An hour seemed like an eternity. Did they not believe what she had told them months before? Anne felt as if she was to blame. Why didn't they protect her from the monster? Why did they keep going back? Things didn't get any better for the next couple of years. Anne sank deeper into her own little world where she protected herself because nobody else would. Even though they continued to visit her grandparents, she found a way to somehow be alone in a room full of people. She fantasized about the freedom she would have someday. Around the time of her 17th birthday, she met Mark. He was a good-looking boy who paid attention to her, even though she didn't understand why. Anne had gained some weight. She called it her suit of armor. The more she made herself unattractive, the less anybody would want to touch her. Mark treated her like a princess. He made her feel loved, something she had never felt. The first couple of months were amazing. He respected her and didn't pressure her for intimacy. One day they went for a drive. Mark told her he wanted to have a heart-to-heart conversation with her. She had it in her head that he was going to dump her. They drove to High Park, a spot they have been to so many times before. Mark began to tell her that he had never felt so close to anyone like he felt about her. She was relieved, but also so scared. He told her he wanted to take their relationship to the next level. She explained she was not ready. "Don't you love me?" Mark replied. "I do love you, but I'm not ready to make such a big decision." Shaking his head, he stated that if she did not have sex, then they were done. Anne couldn't understand why her prince had changed into a beast. She had flashbacks of her childhood. Anne very sternly told him no. She would not let anyone use her ever again. Well, this infuriated him, and he grabbed her by her hair and told her he wanted to show her how much he loved her. The whole thing was over in minutes, but seemed like forever. The stench of his cologne she once loved now smelled like rotting meat. She was silent as he drove her home. "I love you, baby," he kept saying to her. She got out of the car as fast as she possibly could. "I love you, baby," he yelled once more. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Cristina Saburan Jovel. My pen name is Queen Maria, pronounced she and her. I'm reading from Ottawa, the unceded territory of the Anishinaabe and Algonquin peoples. Hope for a dream come true. Uninterrupted rain. The sky is crying. No tears of joy, those are. Mourning all the losses she was forced to endure. The unrealized dreams, the countless times she gave up on herself, the pain she feels everywhere increases as if reminding her she's still alive. She gets another chance tomorrow. Time to let go of the need to pretend to be tough and untouched by the devils of the world. Cold, short, dark, depressing winters are days ahead. She hates them with a passion, determined to beat them this year, for she knows she can bring her sunshine anywhere she goes. Surrounded by plants, bright colors, inexpensive fun art pieces, she is ready to win. Her heart full of hope, willing to make her life different. Finding beauty and peace in her solitude, not scared anymore of being by herself. There she is in the middle of that vast auditorium, doing what she loves the most, teaching again. This time, more than just difficult tricks to solve complicated math problems. She is sharing her life experience, her many falls, her physical restriction, her recovery from an eating disorder that almost took her life and her happiness away. She's sharing herself and her deepest fears with others without any shame, speaking from the heart with a fire in her voice impossible to miss. Special, she knows it now. Free, like she has never been before. Her own kind of beautiful, warming any place she sets her feet on with her authentic smile. Free from that abusive voice that used to torture her after any mistake, no matter how insignificant. She has finally learned to love herself unconditionally. An obese woman in a phobic racist society moving mountains, defying stereotypes like a lioness, claiming her place in a society that often deems her less than, with a strong gentleness only confidence can bring. She is happy, commanding that conference room without any effort, not one empty seat. She is speaking. They are listening. The ones who refused to acknowledge her before. Wearing a vibrant neon green suit, oversized orange necklace, and fuchsia long earrings, matching nail polish and lipstick. She does not wear any other makeup, wants others to see her real face, living her life in her own terms, proud of herself and her journey, not regretting any of her choices, not bringing herself down anymore, no matter what. This is what hope means, being the best she can be, without negotiating her happiness ever again. A self-proclaimed Yoruba Queen's version of a perfect world, sharing our gift with one another. Thank you.
At the end of a WCC workshop, we look back on our writing and select a favorite line. Fellow writers from Front Lines 2022 would like to share theirs with you. Here's mine. As Anne sits and reflects on the past trauma of all the things she had to go through, she realized she wasn't alone. And bad things do happen to good people. She decides to make the courageous decision to write her story.
My favorite playground, right here, our online Zoom link invite together time. To begin our session, search for inspiration, prompts where we start to look for what lies underneath the surface scribbles. Pry, pray, proclaim, predict, personify, procrastinate, or with consonants contradict. What else can paint a picture so vivid all at the same time? Words, words, words.
This is my artist statement. This is the only thing I know how to do. That does not make me want to slash my wrists or second guess my humanity or my place in the world or the point of my existence. Here I am, staring at you.
It's a wonder, isn't it? How the world can keep right on turning even when yours is about to end.
Around me, I see all the invisible burdens on the colored folks sitting and walking around me. They are unable to put down the psychic weight from their shoulders. At that moment, I do not want to be a psychic Sherpa any longer. I do not want to fear judgment and maltreatment for how I look and what accent I may have. I want to display the color red and my heritage with pride in my home so that my future children can be proud of who they are. I want to build that bridge between my family and myself to also make them feel complete and valued without needing to be white. But this work, telling my story, takes effort. And by sharing my own story and letting my voice be heard, I'm hoping to be able to share the load just a little more with the world. I open my mouth and speak.
It hurts to write, to think the thoughts that squeeze my heart.
Toby survived the accident, but the bear always had a profound shake after that.
It was what they said. It was easy. Soon Toby had books filled with manic jottings. He had volume upon volume of raw stuff, the stuff that said nothing, ready for the real work, ready for the treasure hunt, the rewriting, the digging and polishing, the daring.
Grief is like walking on ice. At first, the ice is precarious and thin. You can't take a step without falling through and thinking you'll drown. Over time, though, the ice gets a little thicker, our steps a little braver.
I thought about running away sometimes. Kunoba, we called it. He'd be forced to come for me, bearing gifts for the elders. But with a civil war raging in our homeland, there's no chance of that happening.
A childhood home that is gone forever. Now it is only in my dreams that I can revisit a home that is gone forever. Yet I persevere. The childhood home still remains safely within. Much like Neruda wrote of his beloved, I carry it in my heart forever.
My heart is beating in a nice harmonic rhythm as I'm thinking of my parents.
Unconditional love at its best, craving the fights they used to hate, gratitude for every time they shared together, realizing their strength has always been in their differences. Two sisters fighting to be happy in their own special way.
I feel my life explode, laying on the table where hundreds of women have heard those same words. My heart starts to race, not from excitement, but from fear.
I am the author of Warrior Queen, because everything that tried to break her is exactly what made her.
And I, as you turn, the brown soles of your shoes visible, and I,
As every car goes by with wipers on high, just stand there, soaking wet, writing a eulogy to our moment in my head.
Her lips resonated, perhaps mimicking her overbeating heart, and channeled a ripple of something that had formed deep beneath. There was no way for me to mishear the words or misplace the intent behind it, as she whispered, "I love you."
When I'm shown love, the wounds I carry start healing. I stop picking up the scabs and identifying as a victim. Never underestimate how much a gentle tone, true patience, and deep empathy can help another person. As I mend myself, I judge less, me and others. I stop the doom loop of self-loathing. The terrible comparison game ends.
Frames from my window. Frames don't have the same meaning all of our lives. They are just perspective that should make sense and be understandable for us. When we talk about seeing the world through the window, we aren't talking about the truth. We are just talking about the meaning that the world has for us at that time.
I have found that gratitude is greater than something more.
I threw back my head, letting the sun rays kiss my face, while I breathed in the scent of the blossoming trees and listened to birds perched overhead. Though I'd often sat in this same spot overlooking the gently flowing river, I'd not been aware of how serene yet full of life it was. I now saw squirrels scampering up trees, butterflies fluttering by in a kaleidoscope of color, and at the riverbank, a mother duck guiding her brood into the water. Amazed I'd been so blind to this, I gave myself up to the joy of sitting at peace among nature.
Surfer silhouette. I do not sleep. I am the ocean breeze that blows across the surf at Monalani, where the Honu play. I am the northern star that shines in the Kohala sky at night. Do not cry. I am here with you always. I felt Roger's spirit catch that wave, hanging 10 in the big surf of heaven.
My stroke is smooth. I turn and flip like a sea creature, a water baby, in heaven. Heaven. Floating, gliding, weightless in water's embrace. Beside me, a few feet away, a loon surfaces.
During cooler temperatures, they come together for the good of all. They take turns braving the cold so that all may get some warmth. Similarly, when others are experiencing a season of discomfort, we can share our stories, braving vulnerability as a form of service.
Okay, well, is that wow? Wow. It was absolutely, absolutely amazing. Thank you, each and every wonderful, magnificent writer, for your contributions to this fantastic, inspiring anthology. We have the anthologies right here. And thank you very, very much to Nicole for creating these gorgeous covers, and just for your presence, your support, your creativity, all of it. Just a heartfelt thank you.
I have nothing else to add. That was great. That was fabulous. Thank you, all the writers. Thank you, everyone involved. Really means a lot.
Each of you. What magnificent, courageous voices. So we're really, really honored, both Richard and myself. And just one more heartfelt thank you.
Wow.